Hey guys, it's Maymay, and if you were with us on Thursday night last week, you would have seen us create these woven cards, which I just think are so cool. Now, I showed that night this one. This card is woven, but you can see that the weave is only a quarter of an inch wide, where if you look at this one, like I'll do this big one here, this is done half of an inch wide. Well, in the video, when we're doing this, you guys asked that I show you how to do the quarter. It takes a little longer to do, so I was like, let me show you that in a live show. So that's what, let me show you that in a recorded video. So that's what I'm going to show you today. So let's get started on this. Now I'm doing something a little different this time. I'm going to do a card front that folds like this. I don't know how to explain that like that. It folds that way, okay, versus the card front going this way. But it's the same process. We're just going to go this direction. Because we're going to do quarter of an inch, it's easy because it lines up well. You know, this is 5.5 inches across, so it lines up easy to do quarter of an inch. You don't have to do any fancy math. If you wanted to do like a 3/8 of an inch strip or something like that, you might, I'm getting my sticky tape ready by the way, you might have to shorten your card to fit whatever strip width you put in. But for this one, it works out well. Now at the bottom of the card, I'm going to cover up this bottom 1/2 inch. There's a method to my madness. I did put my yellow tape on my jeans to get some of the sticky off. It just makes it a little less sticky. Then I'm going to line this one up to my fold line at the top there. Okay, so I'm only going to work in this section, which I think is going to be cool. I wanted to see the difference between this and the other, so let's just see what happens. All right, I'm going to pick this guy up and I'm going to take him to my trimmer. If you saw my other video, it works very much the same. We're just changing the cut width, but also it's a little more detailed to do the weaving. We have to be a little more careful. Now what I have done is I've placed this in my trimmer and I've crossed over my cut line by 1/4 of an inch. Okay, so as if I were going to cut a quarter of an inch off, I just cross this over till it lines up. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to take the guide on the side of my blade, okay, and I'm going to line that up with my yellow tape. So you can see here I just pressed it in so it's lined up with my yellow tape. And by the way, the cool thing about this tape is that it kind of holds your project down. Now I'm going to roll up with my blade until I get to the other yellow tape and I'm going to stop. And what we're doing is creating these cuts into our card base. I'm going to lift this up and show you. You see how we did that little cut into the card base? That's what we're doing. And we want to do that all the way across. So what I do now, I did a quarter. Now I'm going to move this to 1/2 inch on that side. And then I'm going to take my blade, place it at my yellow tape, run it down to my yellow tape. You want to try to stop at the same place every time, meaning if you stop even with your yellow tape, try to do that every single time. Just because when you go to weave it, it's better if these lines are pretty consistent, these cut lines. It's not the end of the world if they're not, because you can kind of fudge this a little bit. All right, so now we're going to 3/4 of an inch. We're going to do every 1/4 of an inch all the way across, and I won't make you watch me do that, but I'll do it. Maybe we can throw some music on and let you watch in fast motion. That's a lot easier to watch it that way. You'll see here I turned it upside down, or from the way I was. It doesn't change anything. I just went as far as I could on the other side, and now I need to use these other measurements that go a little further. And the cool thing is this, as long as you make sure you only go to the 1/4 of an inch marks, you'll be fine. As long as you don't go between them, your marks will be good. Even if you like accidentally do the same one twice, like I almost did just there. All right, all the way across. All right, so we've done all the way across, and you can see that. Isn't that cool looking? I think it looks really neat. It does kind of weaken your card front, but by the time we weave our other pieces in, that will settle out. All right, now I'm going to do very much like I did here because I want to show you how both colors work. This section is just white strips, and this one is a colored page that I used. So let's start with the white. So I've got a strip here. This is a scrap. I don't want to pull a big piece yet, so I'm going to start with this. I've cut it 5.5 tall, and now I'm just going to go through and cut this down into 1/4 inch strips, this whole piece. I'll tell you this from experience, if you do a scant quarter here, if you don't quite do as full a quarter as you normally do, it will weave better. It needs just a little bit extra space on there, a little bit. Okay, now I went ahead and peeled the yellow tape off of here, off of the front there. So what I'm going to do is take another piece of tape, and I'm just going to tape this guy down to my work surface. It doesn't have to be perfect. I just want to hold him in place like that, and that way I can weave pretty easily. All right, we've got it taped in place, and now it's time to weave. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here to the top, and I'm going to go over, under, over, under, all the way down, okay? If you did the 1/2 inch ones, you will realize that the 1/4 inch is a lot more tedious. It's beautiful, but it's more tedious. To be honest, I probably would not do the 1/4 inch unless I just needed the look for a certain reason, because this does take longer and it can get a little unruly. It does get better though as we build up some of the tension in here. All right, so now I'm just going to slide this up. And I'm going to slide it as far as it will go. Just going to use this little guy to help me push. Now, can you see how I'm hanging off this side? Let's push him over before we get too froggy. Let's push him underneath. I got a little tight. Let's bring that out. There we go. Now let's push it up. All right, I'm going to go right here. Just push. Now, I want this to go super tight. You may not. You can do your weave as loose or as tight as you want it. It really doesn't matter. We are going to glue this into place anyway. So, as tight or as loose as you like it. I just like it all the way up. Now, our second one, like I said, we started over. So, here we're going to start under. And we're just going to go all the way across the page, over, under, over, under, over, under. I will also tell you, if you're not filming this process where you can turn this where it's easier for you to see, it's so much better. It's harder for me because of trying to see what I'm doing. Oh, another trick. This worked for a little bit. Let me show you. Let's say we put in something like this. And if you have like a wooden skewer or a piece of chipboard, that would work really good too. All right, so I'm going to take this out now and watch. If you take this guy, now you can just kind of slide him in. He's a little bent from me messing with him. And then we can slide him up. And all I really want to do is keep the edge even. And honestly, it's not a fragile process, really, because you really can get this pretty tight and push on this cardstock pretty good. It's just time consuming. All right, so whatever way works best. I had someone mention that in the live show that it might be easier to put one in and bring it down and then bring them back and forth like this. I tried that, and to be honest, by the time you get to the end, they get pretty tight either way. So you really just have to get these guys in here the best way that works for you. Now real quick, I'm going to use this pretty flower paper to do this part. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut myself about that much off. I didn't even really measure. I just took a strip of it. I'm going to cut it down to 5.5. Then I'm going to cut this into strips. Now, several people on our live show suggested that when we put these in, we need to line these up the way we cut them. And here's the thing. If you want the pattern to kind of show, you do want to do that. The ones I made on Thursday night, I just did with kind of a green pattern paper, and I didn't really care too much about the pattern. But I'm going to lay these correctly, one right after the other. So when I place these in, we'll see if the pattern will continue. I know that it will in some sort of way. We might not can see exactly what it is, but it should be pretty. And you don't have to do a pattern. You could do colors. I've seen it done with rainbow. I've even seen it done. I saw somebody on our Facebook group. By the way, if you're not a member of our Facebook group, you should join it. They do beautiful work over there. Somebody did all white, and then they laid a shape down and they colored in the shape. So like they drew a heart and colored the pieces that were there. And I've also seen where some people do the weaving behind, do a die cut shape and let the weaving show through. That was pretty too. So you do what works for you. All right, so taking our pattern piece, we're going to go up here. We ended it over, so we're going to go under. All right, so I did 3 of those strips. I'm going to do white on this bottom one. There's a couple reasons. 1, this is just tedious. It's just tedious. 2, the strips I'm using for color are not a thick cardstock. They're actually more of a 65-ish pound paper, and it's so tight down here it's hard for me to use that. The other thing is I've decided to use my tweezers, not my reverse tweezers, because the reverse tweezers, I tend to open them rather than squeeze them. I don't know. They're harder for me to use. So I'm trying to use these guys. And this was going much better a minute ago till I started talking again. But I'm just going to send it through, work it down. Another thing you can do is not try to push your strips together as tight as me. Because I'm putting mine together so tight, I have to put so many in. But if you like put your strips in and then like skipped the width of a strip, that would be cool too. That would look pretty. So I've decided, like, who would I make this card for? I'm just sitting here thinking about that, right? And I was like, I feel like this. Unless the friend I'm making a card for is like just graduated from like underwater basket weaving school, I'm not making this for people. This one is not easy. Like, I can get the look of woven really cute without having to do this. But here's the other thing I'm going to tell you. I'm not going to stop till the strip is done. Like, that's what Shannon was telling me the other day when I kept saying, Shannon, is this really worth it to do? She's like, all I know is you haven't stopped working on it. Like, you just keep going. And I do. I just keep pushing until I get it done. So I'm either having fun or I'm a glutton. I'm a glutton for punishment. Now, some of you guys already did the 1/4-inch strips, and you posted them on our Facebook group. So, would you do it again? Did you find a trick? Maybe I need to learn. I mean, the only trick I know is just get this in here. All right, I feel like we accomplished it. I'm going to straighten this out because I kind of twisted up my pattern, but that is a woven card front. Now, what I would do, you do not have to do this, but what I would do is come right here to the side and I would apply glue to all these little lifted edges. Just get under there and squirt a little glue. And do this all the way around on both sides and in the back. They're not going anywhere. I mean, you could pull them out, but they're pretty much not going anywhere. And then you just want to do the same on the back side where they're showing. And let me show you this. So I'm sitting here thinking, why is this one so much more difficult than the first one I did? Let me show you real quick. It's the length. See how much shorter my distance was here? This was a lot easier than this long one. So if you're going to try this at home, maybe don't do this direction. The reason I say it is your paper holds out better this shorter distance. By the time I got down here, I was really having a lot of bending because, I mean, we're talking about that's another whole inch that we didn't have to do, you know? So I think this one is a better way of doing it. I also think this one turns out neater than this one. But you guys try it. This y'all wanted to see how I did it. That's literally how I did it. It is time consuming. I don't think this is going to be a card that I do all the time. Now I will tell you, I love doing this one. This is so easy. Go back and watch Thursday night's video for this one. This is so easy. All you do is run these little 1/2 inch strips through, and that goes like a breeze. This one, super easy. The 1/2 inch strips go so easy. So these I would do again. These, maybe not. Maybe not. But there you go. You wanted to see it, so we got it done for you. Hey, thank you so much for playing along. I love seeing your creations. Please head to our Facebook group called Maymay Made It and So Did I. You can share your pictures there. We love to see how you're using this technique. And if you need inspiration, that is a great place to go. Another place is our customer gallery, which is at maymaymadeit.com. There's a lot of cool inspiration there as well. So thank you for the challenge, guys. Thank you for asking me to record this for you. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did doing it. And until next time, bye now.